Society has taught us that when we achieve something, when we obtain something, then we can be happy. Except that studies and science does not back that up. Now think about it. If you're a little child, let's say you're just learning how to walk, as soon as you take that first step, if we were wired to take a step and achieve it and then be like, oh, I've arrived, now I can be happy, then we would stop right there and we would not keep growing. There is a part of us that is built and designed towards growth and achievement. If we didn't have that part in us, then we would not be growing and we would stop at our first step. So that's there, we know that, but if we apply that to our business, if we apply that to our personal lives, then often it looks like this continual moving goalpost, right? So when I make a certain amount of money, when I close a certain number of sales, when I reach a certain weight on the scale, whatever those things may be, we think that once we get there, we'll feel like we've arrived, except that oftentimes we get there and the goalpost moves, and that's designed to keep us growing. That function that is innate in all of us is not designed to make us happy. So that's designed to keep us growing. Here's what we're going to talk about, what we know and what studies have shown cause happiness and what you can do to control that. So a lot of what I'm going to share with you today comes from Shawn Achor. He's a Harvard grad that has studied neuroscience and positive psychology. You can Google him. He's done some TED Talks. We saw him recently as a keynote speaker. His most recent book is called Big Potential, and the idea behind it is that happiness starts from a place of gratitude and also connection with others. So here's what this looks like. I'm going to share a story that he shared. There was a scientist in the mangrove forest of Southeast Asia. He was on a river studying lightning bugs. So he was out that night, just kind of minding his own business, taking a peaceful ride down this river, and one of the trees lit up. It looked as if lightning had shot from the inside of the tree out, and he was stunned by that, like, what was that? 2 seconds later, it lit up again. So of course it's not lightning striking twice, but what is it? So again, he's still waiting and trying to figure out what's going on. Not just, but a few seconds later, the entire row of trees along this river lit up. What it was the lightning bugs. There was a huge, swarm or ecosystem rather of lightning bugs that were on these trees, and they had sunk their rhythm up together to light up at the same time. Scientists were really baffled. They looked into it and they were asking, well, why on earth would males light up this way? The reason lightning bugs light up is to mate, to attract a mate. He said, well, why would lightning bugs light up in unison with everybody else? Because wouldn't it just decrease their chances of standing out? That's the way we think in our society. We think that the best way to succeed is to be the best, to be the brightest, to set ourselves up to compete, to be individualized rather than to be in unison. But with the lightning bugs, what they found is that when they light up on their own individually, they have a 3% chance of finding a mate and procreating. In comparison to when they were lighting up in unison, that went up to 82%. So that increased by 79% rate. Very interesting, right? They work together. What they found is that in that, the lights were so bright, it attracted other lightning bugs in. So they increased the attractional capacity and increased their chances, their rate of success. The studies that Shawn Achor went on to do in his book delve into those exact concepts to show that when we are connected in an ecosystem, when we're connected to other people, when we show up and ask, how can I help instead of what can I get, we not only shine brighter as an individual, but we help the ecosystem shine brighter as a whole, and we raise the collective level in this. One of the things that he also dove into was the idea or the science behind what are called mirror neurons in our brain. So have you ever been around somebody, I was just actually about to do it, and yawned, and they yawned back, or laughed and they yawned back, or laugh back? An exercise that you can do if you sit across from somebody right now, grab a child or a partner or a colleague even, one of you sit there with a stone cold face. The other one, at the count of 3, smile as big as you can and see what happens. almost every time, the person that is told to not smile, no matter what, will smile. It's nearly impossible not to. Well, the Ritz-Carlton, if you haven't heard of that, is a hotel chain that caught on to that phenomenon. And so they actually instituted a principle in their management called the 10-5 rule, where if they saw somebody and they came within 10 feet of them, everybody that is hired at the Ritz-Carlton smiles at 10 feet away, and at 5 feet away they say hello. Well, Shawn Achor took this study and he implemented it in hospitals, but they weren't allowed to go in the hospital room, so they stayed within the halls. And they only did this study on half of the hospital. What they found over time was that it completely transformed the culture on that half of the hospital. They didn't tell the doctors what they were doing, they told nobody about it, they just instituted the 10-5 rule. And lo and behold, it was a domino effect. So those doctors and nurses and administrative support that were in those hallway staff started taking it on and smiling back. And then they brought that into the rooms with patients, and the patients started to notice a difference in the culture. Well, guess what? The culture not only transformed in the way that people felt happier and more welcome, but it actually had a resounding impact on the patient's health. So they were able to track that their results and their healing process was greater on that side of the hospital versus the other hospital. They went further into the study and then also learned when you look at, if you're in a hallway as a patient and you're looking down the hallway on your own, let's say you're in a walker, you're recovering from some surgery, they can study the brain and see that when you look at the hallway on your own, it looks much longer than if you're looking at it and you have a support next to you. Just the mere fact of having another brain next to you increases your chances of success in overcoming that obstacle. And here's why. Because your mind tells your body, it perceives that your body is going to get more hurt or more injured or undergo more stress when doing or trying to achieve or overcome something alone. The same study was applied to a hill. If you stand in front of a hill and look at it alone, it actually looks 20 to 30% steeper than if you're simply standing next to a human. So all of this combined is evidence that we are designed to be in connection with other people. And we know based on these studies that the greatest leading indicator of success economically, even in your business, is the breadth and depth of your social connections. So social connections are critical, and then happiness is a piece of that. So we've covered the connection piece. The second piece that I want to talk about is happiness. Now, how do we have happiness? One of the easiest ways for us to be happy where we're at now versus thinking we'll wait to get happy until we achieve the thing or hit that goal or buy the house or whatever it is to start where you're at. Start with happiness now. And the way we do that is via gratitude. It's one of the ways that we do that. So again, part of these studies, they had people, they tweaked this method and system to find what the happiest people did, and they also measured the productivity of those people. So not only after this experiment were they more happy, their sales went up, their productivity went up, their efficiency, their creativity, all of that. Shawn Achor, by the way, travels all around the world speaking to high corporate level executives, talking about if you want to make your company more productive, get the employees to be more happy, and here's how you do it. So I'm going to give you those 4 things. First thing is, every day you want to write down 3 new things you're grateful for that happened in the last 24 hours. So it's proven to show that when your brain is scanning for something to be grateful for, that's when it starts firing new neural pathways in your brain. So it's actually a good sign when you get to a place where you can't think of something and you've got to think further. We want you to get to that point where it's hard to find something. So 3 new things. So if today I'm thankful for coffee this morning, I can't put coffee on the list for the next 21 days. Each day, 3 new things you were grateful for that happened in the last 24 hours. That's thing number 1. Thing number 2 is journal. So if you're not a journaler, it doesn't have to be Dear Diary, here's what happened today. 3 easy questions to ask yourself. What was a high? What was a low? And what did I learn? Otherwise, you can Google journal prompts or things like that. The third thing they found is meditation. I shared this in my office meeting today. I grew up in a situation where I thought that meditation, a religious situation, I should say, I thought that meditation was a religious thing to do. It can be if you make it that, but here's what I make of meditation. It is a mind practice. It's a practice of the mind. And I've heard people many times say, well, I tried to meditate once and my mind was running crazy and it's just not for me and I can't do it. Here's what I liken that to. If you haven't worked out ever or in a while, or if you're like me and you don't do a ton of cardio, you get on an elliptical machine and you put it at level 10 and go as hard and fast as you can, and then you get out of breath and you say, I tried to work out one time, I tried to do cardio and I got out of breath within 2 minutes. It's just not for me, I can't do it. The getting out of breath is the exact reason that you need to work out, so that you don't get out of breath when you walk up a flight of stairs. It's an indicator that there's a need there. If you sit down to meditate and your mind is running crazy and it will not slow down, that is an indicator that you will benefit / could need meditation. So the point of meditation is to help you slow your mind and be the observer of your thoughts rather than the chaser of your thoughts. So pro tip, Headspace is a really easy practical app. If you'd like something a little more deep and sort of getting into other woo-woo stuff, you can use a Waking Up app, and both of them are about 10 minutes a day. So that's thing number 3 is meditation. Thing number 4 is really powerful. Send a 2-minute text praising or thanking somebody in your life. So at about day 8, you will find that it starts to get tough to think of people, and that's exactly the point. That's when you're going to start scanning for people that might be further out in your ecosystem. Maybe a high school teacher that helped show you your potential. Maybe it's a friend you haven't connected with in many years. I don't know what it is, but each day for 21 days, you send a text to somebody, either thanking them or just lifting them up and encouraging them for who they are. And again, the idea is to do this 21 consecutive days. Now, if you're on board for this, the way that I think this is going to execute more easily for you, start right now. Scale of 1 to 10, I want you to ask yourself, how happy are you on a scale of 1 to 10, just on average over the last week? Then on a scale of 1 to 10, ask yourself how productive you are, well, on average over the last week. 10 being very productive, 1 not productive, 10 being very happy, 1 not. After 21 days, I want you to do that again. Tuck that piece of paper aside. In 21 days, do that again and see what progress you've made. The other thing to do is set an alarm right now. When you're done watching this video, set an alarm on your phone. Think about the time of day when you're doom scrolling, when you just have 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes to kill. If you have time to doom scroll, you have time to do this to increase your happiness and your productivity. So set an alarm right now so you don't forget. And don't turn it off until you're done with the 21 days. And then when that alarm goes off, take the time to do these things. Also, if you're gonna do this, or if you have ahas from this video, shoot me a message. I'd love to hear from you. I want to take my time to give back to you. That's what lights me up, to figure out how I can empower you and use the skills that I have to teach you and share with you. So if there's something that was an aha, let me know. I wanna keep on the path that is helpful to you. In the meantime, have a wonderful rest of the week, and I'm back. Happy Whiteboard Wednesday.